Hi. Hi, Karthik. How
Hello.
are you?
Hey, Jordan, Nathan,
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
wonderful. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Karthik Chikurdi. I am a product manager with the AWS Trusted Advisor team. I'm based out of Seattle, Washington. I've been with Amazon for over 4.5 years now in the cloud optimization space. And prior to that, I've spent many, many, many years working in the financial services industry.
Sweet. So can you tell us a little bit about the launch that you are talking about today?
Absolutely. So, firstly, we've launched. So, the console is generally available. So, we're launching a new feature in AWS Trusted Advisor called Trusted Advisor Priority. It provides enterprise support customers, meaning customers on an enterprise support subscription, with curated, context-aware, high-priority recommendations and critical risks in their deployments on AWS.
So if I
Yeah.
understand correctly, Trusted Advisor is going to help me by providing recommendations. I know when I was first learning AWS, I felt like it was a little bit of there's so many different directions I go, so many different settings. I sometimes wondered, am I doing the right thing here? Is the setting going to completely break everything or make me vulnerable? And so I assume Trusted Advisor is going to help me out with that.
Absolutely. So let's start with that, right? So let's start with Trusted Advisor, things that you know of, right? So Trusted Advisor is a best practice recommendation engine. It scans your deployments in AWS and alerts you if it detects deviations from AWS recommended best practices. And we do this across 5 different categories, spanning from security, cost optimization, fault tolerance, performance, and service quotas. And today we provide best practice guidance across what we call as checks, and we provide 270 best practice recommendations that spans across 24 different services. We do this across individual AWS services as well as from domain specialized recommendation services, which includes things like Cost Explorer, Security Hub, config rules, Compute Optimizer, as well as AWS well architected.
And so when I hear you say 270 checks, the first thing that comes to mind is like, even if I'm the most amazing AWS expert and I know all the best practices, checking 270 different things on a regular basis, I wouldn't be able to keep up with all those checks. So I obviously need some kind of automation for it. And it's exciting to me the idea that even if I am an expert, I still benefit from Trusted Advisor because it's going to be able to keep a much closer eye on all these data points that I wouldn't be able to go in there and log in the console every day and click through everything.
And you nailed it, Nathan. So 270 is as of today, right? So last year when we started off on this journey, we had about 115 best practice recommendations, and we're launching services. You've heard Jeff, a little earlier on. We're launching 8 new features, 8 new significant features and services per day, right? And this is an ongoing journey. So because customers have to go to multiple places to receive best practice guidance, right? So Trusted Advisor provides best practice guidance. Individual AWS services provides best practice guidance. Domain specialized recommendation services also provide best practice guidance, and customers also receive best practice guidance from their AWS account teams. This includes their technical account managers, their solutions architects, their account managers, their customer solutions managers that they closely work with on a day-to-day basis, right? So there's a lot of places that we provide best practice guidance, and it's from there, it's from that need where we started off on this journey to make Trusted Advisor the home of all best practices, and it's an ongoing journey. We're at 270 today. But we will continue to build on the roster of best practice recommendations as AWS launches new services.
Yeah. I look forward to the day then when my Surface Amazon bracket, which is quantum computing, is part of the Trusted Advisor recommendation engine, telling people how to use it best. So can you tell us a little bit about what's different about Trusted Advisor Priority versus standard vanilla. Sorry, I shouldn't be disparaging, but trusted advisor, regular style.
No, absolutely. So let's start off with what exists with Trusted Advisor, right? So Trusted Advisor has 270 best practices, for every single AWS account. Now, we've heard from customers that enterprises have tens and hundreds of accounts, thousands of resources across each of them, where they need to review the recommendations, identify what's of priority, identify the impact, and then take action. Right. So customers all often work with their AWS account teams, where they receive curated guidance based on what's important for them. The outcomes or the objectives or goals the customers are looking to achieve, whether it's exiting a data center by the end of the year, or launching a new product, or expanding to a new geography, or even just migrating a workload to a cloud. Now, TA Priority is a new feature that is going to digitize the engagement experience that customers have with their account teams. So curated guidance and custom recommendations that actually help the customers meet these goals, these outcomes are going to be surfaced to them on TA Priority.
So if I could interrupt for a second, we have a question live from the audience on LinkedIn here. Sorry, this one right here. Trusted Advisor asking, is it globally available? Does it have a cost? What's the approach to get this service? They're already sold. They want to get it.
A great question. So Trusted Advisor is available to everybody. So the Trusted Advisor best practice recommendations, or TA Classic as we call it, is available to everybody across all support tiers. So the basic and the developer support tiers get security checks and service quota checks, but enterprise on-ramp, and business support get all checks. Whereas Trusted Advisor Priority is available to customers on enterprise support subscription only.
Gotcha. But if I'm on enterprise support, then it would already be included in my enterprise support plan.
Correct. Gotcha. There is no additional cost for customers on enterprise support.
Very cool.
That sounds very exciting. I understand you have a demo. You'd like to show us this in action. Maybe we could bring it up and then let's see how it looks.
Yes, but I want to tell you a little bit about it before I actually show you what it's going to look like.
Give us a little more intro.
Yes. So what are you going to see on TA Priority, right? So while Trusted Advisor has programmatic recommendations, TA Priority is actually going to have recommendations from two different distinct sources. First of which is AWS Trusted Advisor. So the 270 best practice checks and the ever-growing roster of best practice checks from Trusted Advisor is one of the sources. And the second one is account team prioritized recommendations, right? So this is human identified risks and recommendations. Now, oftentimes, customers, when they work with their account teams, the account teams help customers, review their infrastructure, review the customer's usage on AWS, the usage of different services, spend across different services, and comes up with recommendations that are, custom to them. Whether it's, there's an opportunity to leverage a savings plan. There's an opportunity to reduce costs by engaging with us on a proactive services engagement, like a cost optimization workshop, right, to reduce costs. When the TAM or the SA is actually aware of the customer's upcoming migration, there might be a recommendation to do, engage in an infrastructure event management, or an IEM that we call it, right? That helps in a structured way for customers to engage with their account teams to help them with the deployment. So, all of these recommendations are going to be surfaced them on TA Priority. So from the programmatic checks, the 270 programmatic checks, prioritize accounts, resources, as well as checks are going to be surfaced there. In addition to that, critical risks, if the customer has done a well-architected review recently, and there's a lingering high-risk, indicator from that well-architected review, this is going to be surfaced to the customer on TA priority to let them know that this is a risk that needs to be that they need to be aware of. We also run campaigns from time to time to identify risks in customers' deployments. Campaigns to identify single points of failure, such as a single availability zone deployments. If you have a business, if you have a production account where you have business critical applications running, we want to make sure that you don't have a single point of failure, such as a single availability zone deployment. So we alert you on things like that. I want to, without further ado, I want to show you what the experience looks like on the console.
Yeah, real quick, Karthik, we've got a question from the chat, which is kind of relevant to what we were just talking about. And I can't seem to bring it up, but Nathan, maybe you could bring it up at start. There you go.
I got it for you there.
Great. My controls are all wonky today. So basically, it looks like their question is around what Trusted Advisor can do around incident response and kind of how, if that's not part of it, if you have any plans around that.
So it's a great question. So one of the things that we actually do in Trusted Advisor is internally what we call as a planned service events, right? So if there's a planned event by a service team, or if such as EC2 is deprecating an instance type, etc. So we want to make sure that you don't have a production impacting event if you have your applications running on that. So that's one of the things that we highlight as part of TA priority, where we let you know the work backwards date for that event. And then we work with you to ensure that we have a plan to get you off of that that instance type to make sure that your production workloads run smoothly.
Yeah, and I think this will make sense based on the questions I'm seeing in the chat. I think it'll make more sense when we actually bring up this demo. Let me put it up there on screen there, and you can see what these recommendations are looking like.
Awesome. So the TA priority is available in the management account of your AWS organization, as well as through the delegated admin in select member accounts of your AWS organization. Now, from the service homepage, management accounts land on TA priority by default, and you will see this in the left navigation of the console. The top left pane of TA priority, you'll see a couple stats where you'll see recommendations that are pending a response that you haven't taken an action on, and recommendations that you've taken an action on and you're currently working on, right? So recommendations move from pending response to in progress to either rejected or resolved as you kind of make progress on them. It's just helpful to know the different lifecycle stages that they're in. On the top right in the overview panel, you'll see additional stats such as number of recommendations that you've rejected or resolved in the past 90 days, and the average time that has actually taken your team to resolve a recommendation, right? Content below is divided into two panels, like active and closed recommendations. Now, all of the account team curated recommendations are presented here in a series of searchable and sortable columns. And you'll see the recommendation name, the status, whether it's pending response or in progress, and source. So this is to differentiate between manually identified recommendations by your account team, as well as programmatic ones from sources such as Trusted Advisor or AWS Security Hub. Category, it shows the pillar or the category from AWS Trusted Advisor, and age shows when the recommendation was actually first surfaced to you. When you click on a recommendation to actually view the details, so the construct of a recommendation is kind of stays the same regardless of whether it's a manually identified or a programmatic one. In the overview tab, you'll see the metadata about the recommendation itself, and in the details, you'll see the description, the recommended action, and the affected resources, affected accounts. Now, keep in mind, this is an organization view. So if this recommendation is actually applicable across multiple accounts in that AWS organization, you will see them flagged here. And the effective resources has the resource table and the metadata of the impacted resources in that in that recommendation. It's from here that you're going to be able to accept and reject a recommendation. So this is not a read-only console. There is a closed-loop tracking mechanism that ensures that yourself and your account team are in sync on the recommendations that you've acted on, and that's how they continue to build on the context on what's important for you. So when you click on accept a recommendation, we ask that you enter your name and your title. So through IAM, you can control who has access to TA priority. So your account team is aware of which individuals in your organization has actually taken an action on your behalf. Similarly, when if you think the recommendation is not of importance for you at this moment, we also ask that you enter this information, and this is how we continue to build context on what's important for you. Now, keep in mind, every action that you take on this console is actually reflected in an internal experience to your account team, where they're able to see change in statuses across different recommendations that they've surfaced to you. Now, if you've had an offline conversation with your account team regarding one of the recommendations, and you've agreed to take action on it, they can take action on your behalf, and you'll be able to see that they've either accepted it or rejected it on your behalf.
Now, in terms of this log of like seeing who's accepted and rejected things, I imagine this is probably pretty good for auditing, right? If I want to be able to see what is the list of problems, or what are we working on, what do we decide not to work on?
Absolutely, and I think it solves two purposes. The one that you just articulated, so it's an audit trail of when you've taken a decision from your entire organization perspective, and for your account team to actually know which department in your organization has taken that decision, or which individual, so they can have an offline conversation if they need to, right? So once you've had an opportunity to go back and remediate or act on that recommendation, you can come back and close it, which is when the recommendation moves to the closed or the archive tab. So it provides a leaderboard. This is intended for the IT leaders, the business unit leads, the Cloud Center of Excellence teams, the central governance teams, where you can view these recommendations, act on them, triage them, and mitigate risks in your deployments, right? I want to quickly show you examples of a couple of things, right? So this is so in this example, right, we scan. So this is a programmatic check from AWS Trusted Advisor, by the way. So in this example, we scan all of your RDS deployments across all of your accounts, and then identify our instances that are deployed in a single availability zone. Multi-AZ deployments ensure that they're redundant and they're synchronously replicating to another instance in another availability zone. If in the instance of the failure of the DB instance itself or the entire availability zone, you want to make sure that you don't have a production impacting event. You can spin up, you can leverage a multi-AZ instance which spins up at least one instance in another availability zone, or you could do a DB cluster which spins up two instances in different availability zones. One that supports your reads, and then one supports failover. I see there's a question.
Oh, so this is a kind of a new thing that we're trying, where we ask the audience little survey questions and kind of get their responses and see what's important to them. So this is just for
awesome
the broader audience. You can continue on with your demo.
Perfect. The second example, is MFA on root account. In this example, we're scanning your infrastructure for accounts that have not enabled multi-factor authentication, right? So this is one of the foundational checks or best practices that we recommend on Trusted Advisor, where multi-factor authentication provides an extra layer of security. We asked to enable this because through MFA, there's an extra level of security where we ask for another 6-digit code in addition to your regular credentials. You can use your virtual MFA device, such as an app on your phone to generate that code, or you could use a hardware MFA device. Now, this check is for root users, and it impacts the root user credentials only. Now, keep in mind, like all IAM users in the account are their own distinct entities with their own, credentials and MFA configurations. Okay, I want to touch on one last example before I show you a couple of the features on the console. So cost optimization. So this is an example where your TAM or an SA actually recommended a cost optimization workshop. Having reviewed your usage and spend across different services, there's an opportunity to reduce costs, right? So the cost optimization workshop is a proactive services engagement, which is an expert-led engagement. It typically is like a half a day or a full day, engagement with your account team, where they sit down with you, identify your goals, review your usage, use cases for usage in that account, and they come up with, actionable, tangible recommendations. And at the end of it, you're actually able to redeem cost savings immediately. And they also provide strategies for, ongoing cost optimization. There's two features that I just want to show you. So this is available in the management account tied to your AWS organizations. We realized that management account access to management accounts is pretty limited, and we recommend not to provide access to a lot of IAM users in the management account. So it is for that reason we've launched the ability to delegate administrator privileges to Trusted Advisor. It's a construct that is actually available through AWS organizations today. And when you navigate through preferences and your organization, you'll see a delegated admin where you can register one of the member accounts in your AWS organization. You enter the account ID. We run a validation to make sure that the account actually belongs to your AWS organization. And if it doesn't, it actually alerts you that the account does not belong to that. And the registered administrator account has full privileges to Trusted Advisor Priority, just like the management account. The second thing is notifications. We realize that you want to have the ability to receive alerts or notifications when your account team shares a recommendation to you. So you can subscribe to receive daily or weekly email digests to TA Priority through the notifications feature. And you can set up your billing, security, or operations contacts to receive daily and weekly email digests.
Very nice. We're starting to run out of time, so if there's anything else you'd like to show or talk about how they can get started with this, let's start winding down a little bit.
Absolutely. So, this is available to customers on, enterprise support subscriptions. So if you are not already using it, I strongly recommend you reach out to your account team to get yourself enabled. We've launched it last month, and for context, over 50% of enterprise support customers are actively leveraging it. Last but not the least, priority is for, the recommendations that are surfaced here are critical to ensuring that you have highest levels of operational and application resilience. So take advantage of that prescriptive guidance from your account team.
Absolutely. I can totally see why people are adopting it. And I want to see everybody looking at the Trusted Advisor recommendations here and making sure their account is secure and performant and everything is going really well according to best practices.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Karthik. It's great to have you on.
Thank you, Nathan. Thanks, Jordan.